All right, welcome into another episode of The Blueprint. I can't believe it. It is the final week of the regular season. It is finally here. It's rivalry week. It's Ohio State, Michigan. All the chips are being pushed onto the table. We'll talk about that matchup in a second. Got to look back at the Maryland game here briefly. I was on the call for it, Dev. Few things that stood out to me. Sharon Moore told us in the meetings he wanted Michigan to play their cleanest game. Just felt like they hadn't played a clean 60 minutes. And I'd say it was their cleanest game of the season for the most part. Still some room for improvement, particularly the clock management going into half. It's going to be razor thin margins, of course, against Ohio State. Special teams, some progress. Good to see Andrew Marsh back there in one game. Now as the punt returner, he leads the team in punt return yards on the season. Clearly has earned everybody's trust. I expect him to be the punt returner once again against Ohio State. And then Zavada is just having an off year, a down year. And he was 2 for 2 in the shoe last year. Ohio State's kicker was 1 for 3. That was ultimately the difference in the game. So special teams needs to be key. Bryce, Dev, and I know we'll get to your pictures here in a second, looked comfortable. All the things that you've been talking about, that we've been talking about, the footwork, pocket presence, pocket awareness, accuracy. He was able to feather and layer some throws in over the linebackers, underneath the safety, spread the ball around. Thought it was his cleanest game. Most importantly, no turnovers for Bryce, which is the first time in 3 games for him. And then we love these stats. This is his 7th game with over 200 yards passing. That ties Chad Henne. You got to go back to 2004. That ties Chad Henne for the most 200-yard passing games by a first-year Michigan starting quarterback. Outstanding. Work my way down the list. Also got to give flowers to Cusdahl. We'll talk about injuries. Jordan Marshall did not play. Cusdahl stepped up, 5 yards a carry, 20 rushes, 100 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns. Credit to the offensive line and the tight ends, dominant. But Cusdahl stepped up to the challenge when his number was called. Andrew Marsh, wide receiver 1, Dev, 5 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown. And then how about this one for the Buckeye fans? They were not happy about this. They completely misinterpreted it. Since October 1st, Andrew Marsh has the most receiving yards for any Big Ten wide receiver since October 1st, right about the time when Michigan made him their starter. He has 611 yards. So he is the clear wide receiver 1, one of the best receivers in all of college football, and he's only a true freshman. And then I think most importantly, this is going to be key against Ohio State's defense. Michigan, 12 of 14 on third down. 12 of 14. The ability to sustain drives, to play ball control, and to keep Ohio State's offense on the sideline. The third down play calling and execution was outstanding. Few injuries, Dev. Jordan Marshall did not play. Got to see him in pregame. High spirits. He was running around. It's a shoulder injury, but he was running around with a ton of energy. I fully expect him to play this weekend. I mean, I did not get the sense that he's a guy that we're not going to see. I do expect Jordan Marshall to play this weekend and have a big-time game. Unfortunately, Max Bredesen went down, and that is a big issue because that fullback tight end position in this offense is critical. He's a leader, was wearing a boot and on crutches, something to keep an eye on. And then Ernest Hausman at linebacker did not travel, was not an injury, was not disciplinary. Some cryptic messages going around on social media, but Ernest Hausman did not travel. The positive is Cole Sullivan played. He played well. Michigan is deep in the wide receiver room. But have to keep an eye on that there. Jordan Marshall, I expect to play. Hausman, I would expect to play. Unfortunately, Max Bredesen, I'm not sure. But across the board, I think you got everything you wanted out of Michigan in this game. A dominant, convincing victory. Another step forward for Bryce Underwood, Chip Lindsey, Wink Martindale, and Sharon Moore. And if you win this game, you're in the playoffs. If Michigan wins this game and Washington beats Oregon, if Michigan beats Ohio State and Washington were to beat Oregon, Michigan would then go to the Big Ten championship. So there is a lot on the line this weekend and a lot to unpack, Dev. Great to see you. What'd you see over the weekend?
Yeah, throughout the whole season, we've been doing these episodes, and the whole thing was it's okay that we aren't who you want to be at the end of the season, in the middle of the season, in the first game, second game, third game, even as soon as last week. You don't need to be what you need to be, but after this game, we knew that you had to be moving closer and be right at the brink of everything that you wanted your team to be to beat the team that you want to beat. And everybody knows what it is. It's the game, period. That's what this season is about, because when you put the game on that high pedestal, it puts you in position to get all the other things, right? So you win the game, you get everything else you want, right? Playoff berth, Big Ten championship, all those different things. I think it was so clean and so good and so competent by Chip Lindsey and Bryce Underwood. Their growth has been really cool, and I'm really happy that you all have been able to share it with us.
Mm-hmm.
We've really outlined how they have been able to grow together, and it all came to a head on Saturday. And I can't wait to show you a few pictures. There's nothing really negative. It's actually all positive things, and it feels like all the things we outlined, they've taken heed to that, and you expect it, right? We're not getting paid $1 million to break down the film. Those coaches are. So if we find these things, you would hope that they find those same things and try to fine tune them, and it looks like that's what they're doing. Or maybe they're just watching the show, like you should. Like, subscribe, all those different things. Of course, I'm sure a few coaches have it subscribed, but I was really impressed with what you were able to see from the team all the way top to bottom. Now, Maryland is not Ohio State. They're red, but that's it. That's where the comparisons stop, right? They're a team that started off fairly well with a weaker schedule, and they started to tail off, and it looked like they played a bunch of young guys, and they weren't ready for Michigan. Yeah. However, the other red team, you got to be honest here, they're ready, right?
Different.
And I want to show these pictures, right, before we get into that Ohio State breakdown of different things that I did on a deep dive to maybe give the offense some, keys to where they could take advantage of Ohio State.
Can I add one thing real quick, Dev?
Yeah.
One thing before we get to your pictures. I think one of the big positives I had here was the offensive line is playing outstanding. They are hitting their stride. Dominant rushing performance, but Maryland does have two young, talented pass rushers, and they've been able to keep Bryce clean. How about this, Dev? In 2023, when Michigan last won the Joe Moore Award, the Big Ten championship, and the national championship, the average amount of snaps for that offensive line was about 1,800 snaps across the board. So a very veteran offensive line. The average amount of snaps from the starting five this past weekend is 1,000. So almost half of career snaps for this offensive line, and yet they're playing out of their minds recently. I give a ton of credit to Grant Newsome, and that to me is going to be the key this weekend, the offensive line. But I just wanted to highlight those guys for the performance they've had. And now, please, Dev, you got the floor here, man. Excited to see what you saw with Bryce.
Man, I got to be completely honest. It's not recently. It's since OU. Against Oklahoma, it was an 80% clean pocket for Bryce Underwood. A lot of what the offensive line struggles appeared to be was Bryce Underwood uncomfortable running around the pocket and different things like that. So I think that a ton of credit goes to the offensive line. Yeah. And it's like the Joe Moore people, they start watching the show too, like, wait a minute. The offensive line is playing great. Why? What is all the talk about the offensive line is bad? Right? They have just improved and improved. They are imposing their will, and they'll have an opportunity to do it again this Saturday. But let's just take a look here. We talked about it. I was a few weeks ago that I had to put a stamp, make it extremely clear. 4 or 1 plus one-on-one coverage, it equals. That's just regular chicken, but it's barbecue chicken. I'm just telling you. Trust me, that's barbecue chicken. Trust me, as you have all year. Barbecue chicken, and we remember this, safety comes down, and even if the safety doesn't come down in this instance, it's such a far throw outside, he won't ever be able to get over the top. Mm-hmm. So this is a great decision, a great job, and also it was a hard count, right? So it's a hard count, and Bryce is prepared, and that's all we've asked, right? Because a lot of times throughout the season, didn't look prepared. He looked prepared here. Hard count, get him off sides, offensive line protected up, you're throwing the fade, and a absolute dime. Woo. Well, I guess the kids don't really call it dimes anymore. They call it dot. It's a dot. Right? But he dropped it in the bucket, and Marsh, as we outlined from the beginning, we only had to see him play a few snaps. He should be getting all the reps, and he is, and he is doing so well. All the different statistics you outlined, one of the best receivers in all of college football, as well as Donovan McCulley. Next picture. All right, so we've seen Bryce get tricked throughout the year. This is an easy opportunity to get tricked. It appears that you're going to have retreat covers from these two guys on the bottom, right? Which will make this cover 4 to this side. So what do you want to do? You want to throw the hitch route, which is what, not Donovan, I'm sorry, Marsh is going to run. And we know that Bryce loves throwing to Marsh. So this is an easy opportunity to turn the football over. But do we turn the football over?
We
know
do not.
The answer to the question. No, we did not, because you already said we didn't turn the football over the whole game, right? Next picture. It turns into cover 2 on that side. You can see the corner. He has eyes. He's backing up because he's got a young quarterback. He's like, I'm going to bait him into throwing this. I'm going to bait him. Backing up, eyes on the quarterback, got a half player over the top. The middle is somewhere you could get to, but I think there's too much depth from the linebacker. Plus, Bryce needs to vacate the pocket. He starts to vacate, and when he starts to vacate, everybody lifts. He throws a nice little missile to Marsh, and it's a completion. But the most important part of this is they tried to trick him, and he did not get fooled, period.
Yes.
And you're going to see a lot of that on Saturday. Great improvement from Bryce Underwood. Moving on. Now, we've talked about middle open all season, have we not? Middle open. We got to recognize it. We got to know when the middle's open, and we got to know what route gets there, and we got to get it there on time. We've talked about it. We've highlighted the negative. We've seen him do it a little bit. Can he be consistent doing it? Let's take a look. Next picture. Middle's wide open. However, the tight end has not yet cleared completely the linebacker. The tight end has not yet really truly gotten to his break into the middle. However, anticipation. The ball is on its way to that circle right there, and that is what we want to see. It's clearly cover 2. You know the middle's open. What route gets there? Drive it. Perfect throw over the middle. Outstanding job by Bryce Underwood. Moving on. Oh, it's like Maryland saw the tape and said, oh, Tampa 2 fooled him, but they don't know about the blueprint. Yeah, it fooled him last week, but we have the blueprint. So we outline, hey, he hasn't seen this. Hey, Bryce, you can't do this. So they bring out their version of their Tampa 2. Okay, you got half player there, corners in the flats, middle linebacker's going to try and get back to the middle. Now we got a sacrificial lamb by not Donovan McCullough this time. We've got Andrew Marsh in the slot. He is going to take the top off the defense with great speed. So that means that linebacker has to blow back, that half safety has to be back, and then you're going to get a nice little dig route from McCullough. We call this dagger. Next picture. And look at that. Woo! The linebacker is in a full sprint trying to get back to that sacrificial lamb. That's not getting the ball. He's not getting it. He is not getting it. Look at the anticipation. The arm is already loaded and ready to go. And then the veteran presence of McCullough. It's not a video, so you're not going to be able to see this. However, on this route, he doesn't go blowing all the way through there. He turns and puts his shoulders nice and square to the quarterback, which gives a beautiful wide picture for him to make a perfect throw on the dig route. We haven't seen Bryce throw many digs since like the first game, right? And guess what? They brought out the dagger. Linebacker vacates. He drives it on his shoulder pads. Outstanding job there. A nice call by Chip Lindsey, of course, and a nice execution by Bryce Underwood. They're working together. Their concert, getting to this point in the season, has been beautiful to watch. Obviously, I think we've had a big part in their growth, obviously, giving all the answers to the test. So we know exactly what Ohio State's offense is and what Michigan's defense is. It's going to be strength on strength, obviously. But I did a deep dive to see, even though teams don't have a ton of success against Ohio State's defense, where do they have success in the run and the pass game to make sure our offense has the answers to the test before they even take it? But first, we're going to have Beanie Wells on the other side because we can't allow him to see our pictures. We can't give him the information. But before we get there, I think there's something that you need to do. We're at 9.1. You guys are doing great. We need more subscribers. Get it done. The Ohio State game is coming. The game is coming. Subscribe, like, and make sure you join us on the other side.
Support for the Blueprint comes from Google. Every August, we talk about new rule changes coming to college football. But now that we're in the middle of the season, it's hard to follow the real impact those rules are having on the games. One that comes to mind is the definition of a defenseless player. Obviously, targeting is one of those plays that's really subjective. It has a major impact on games, and it's really fluid in terms of how it gets called.
But with AI mode and Google search, you can just type in, how have this year's college football rule changes impacted the season so far? And AI mode will pull together the key details and give you the summarized AI-powered response. It's perfect for those big, nuanced questions that don't have a simple answer. It doesn't end there. Let's say you want to keep going deeper. With AI mode, you don't have to start a whole new search. You can ask direct follow-ups to learn more about specifics and explore related ideas.
So, whether you're wondering about a complex scheme, a new rule, or the intricacies of the transfer portal, with AI mode, you can just ask Google. All right, we're back here on the Blueprint, now joined by one of the Buckeye legends, Chris Beanie Wells. Played for Ohio State back in 2006, 2007, 2008. I had to check the stats here, Beanie. You averaged about 1,100 yards on the ground per season, 5.8 yards per carry, and 10 touchdowns per season.
He was all right, man. Hold on.
All right.
All right.
Decent.
He was decent.
It was solid. It was solid. I'll take it.
He wasn't like, he was nice. He was all right, man. My goodness. And he would come on here wearing this version of red. Change your clothes.
We're going to fine you for that, Beanie.
Hey, this is not your show.
We're going to send you the invoice.
Right, but I knew where I was coming, but I had to represent.
Understood, man. First off, how are you doing? What's this season been like for you, just watching your Buckeyes coming off a national title last season, obviously? Maybe actually, let me just start there, because this is the age-old question. Mm-hmm. Would you rather have a national championship, or would you rather lose every game and beat your rival? Obviously, Michigan did the impossible and beat Ohio State in the horseshoe last year. How do you kind of quantify that? How do you view last season?
Last season was crazy, man. It was certainly a whirlwind. Definitely wasn't what I expected in terms of, obviously, especially losing to you guys. But nonetheless, when you talk about the season in its entirety, it was a storybook ending, right? Not many times you have an opportunity that they did to get into the college football playoff without winning the Big Ten championship, without beating your rival. And then you go on to have this crazy run and win a national championship. I mean, that last year's season could have been written in the script in Hollywood, and it would have been a box office hit the way that it went for the Buckeyes. But nonetheless, when you look at the players that they lost on that football team last season, you would not have believed that they would have come back humming like they are this season.
Now, Beanie, what I'm hearing from you is that you owe us a thank you, right? Because if we don't beat you, you don't have that Hollywood fish and all that. You don't have that. So if you say thank you, or we aren't going to do it again.
Well, I'm going to say thank you right now, because I don't want that to happen again. So I thank you guys for not only beating us, but resetting the focus of that team last year and Ryan Day. And hopefully, it's going to be a trend moving in the right direction moving forward.
And now, Beanie, these shows, we feel like it's like the group chat, right? Like getting inside what the group chat is like. And I just have to know, while that game is going last year, what is your group chat like? What is everybody losing it? Are people saying fire out? Like, what is the group chat like? You don't have to say names and who was saying what, but just take us into what the group chat was like.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, there's 100%. There were a lot of, questioning calls on both sides. Why are we trying to play Michigan's game? We were a team that could hit you over the top on a consistent basis. So it was kind of mind scratching that, we tried to slug it out with Michigan, knowing that they were the tougher team, essentially, in terms of, being able to dominate
say that again.
The
they were the what?
They were the tougher team last year.
Okay, yeah.
They were. I got to say that. But it was crazy. The calls for Ryan Day were certainly there, but I don't think anybody really thought that would be something that would be possible, because when you look at his record in its entirety, it's so great. He's got top tier talent in year after year, but nonetheless, during that game, people were pissed off.
Well, it wasn't just like that you were running the ball. The big issue is you were running right inside at Michigan's 2 first-round defensive tackles, right. And then Will Johnson wasn't playing, who's a first-round corner. He was drafted in the second round. I just could not believe it. And then what happens, Beanie, is, and DJ, I don't know if you've tracked this part of it, is you have the infamous player-led meeting where Ryan Day, it was the players and then Ryan Day, and then a book gets written. And I mean, those players were coming at Coach Day's neck. I mean, I couldn't believe some of the things I was reading. And yet I feel like this year, that game not just propelled you guys to a national title, but it changed Coach Day as a coach and his approach to how he guides this team. Have you seen some adaptation from Ryan Day as a result of last year's loss?
100%, 100%. You know, I said it before. It changed the trajectory of where Ohio State is going. You know, that loss. You know, as bad as it was, as bad as it felt to lose the third or fourth time in a row, that
Fourth, yeah.
single-handedly changed a four. Go ahead, throw it up there 4 times in a row. But that loss single-handedly changed the direction in which the program is going. You know, understanding the magnitude of the moment and understanding, you know, where you are with your football team. And, you know, you don't have to go out and play somebody else's game. You can be who you are and still win. And I think, you know, a lot of times when you're playing this matchup versus Michigan, you go back and you look at the certain metrics. You know, whoever wins the rushing battle, the turnover battle, typically wins this game. So automatically as a coach, you go to the mindset of, oh, I gotta be able to go and dominate and run the football and win the rushing battle. Well, that ain't the case.
If that's not who you are.
Exactly. You got to win your way. And I think Ryan Day was able to understand that last year after taking that loss and taking a back seat and letting things digest. And right now we're watching his team play their way.
Yeah. It felt like to me that Ryan Day went from a front runner to more of a person that has some semblance of humility. Because remember, many years ago, he talks about how he's going to put 100 on Michigan, right? And it was almost like punching down because like Michigan just was, you know, it had come off that bad season, all those different things. And then you get the first loss. And then it's like, that's a fluke. Not going to happen again. Then you get the next one, right? And then it's like last year, against all odds, there's no way they're going to win this game. Then they win. And it's just like you could see him like rethinking a lot of different things. And so I feel like this is the year he's going to try and do it. Right? I think this is a year he tries to go for 2 when he doesn't have to. All those different things. What is your feeling on how he's going to approach this game and have the insecurity subsided? Like, is he now comfortable in his own skin and will allow his football team to play the way that they know how to play?
Yeah, I think it's subsided a little bit, but let's not get it twisted. Anytime something happens over and over and over again, it's going to be in the back of your mind. No matter what type of success you went on to have away from that, it's almost like that bully, that schoolyard bully that you grew up with that you look at like, dang.
Like you got your diploma, you became an astronaut, you all these things, but he still bullied you when you was a kid.
There's no question. He still bullies you. You still remember what happened. And until you take him down, a part of you was like, oh man, can I really do it? So I think that's certainly still there. And, you know, most importantly, I mean, when you talk about, you know, Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith potentially, you know, being out, they hadn't played the last couple of weeks as much. That's scary. I mean, because they allowed this offense to open up in so many different ways. And
honestly, Julian Sand looked human last week.
Exactly.
He was good. He was still good, but he looked like a good human.
Right, exactly. And it put Ohio State kind of behind the 8 ball because it makes him revert back a little bit to, you know, the style of play in which I don't want to see him play versus Michigan. And that's, you know, being one-dimensional, trying to run the ball to open up the pass when typically it's been the pass is opening up the run.
Do you have any insight on that? I mean, I don't know what you can share with us. Carnell, I was on the game for Ohio State Purdue, and we were not made aware that he was even injured and find out he hasn't played. It started in the Purdue game. Jeremiah plays in the first half of UCLA. It doesn't sound like anything's long-term, but is there any concern that those guys really might not play this week?
Man, they've kept it so close to the vest. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on the show and you guys
No.
You know,
We know you're lying.
Stop lying. But they've literally kept this thing so close to the vest as it pertains to Carnell Tate. Nobody literally knows what the issue is. You know, they haven't came out and said if it's a lower body extremity, you see him walking fine. So it doesn't look like it's a knee or an ankle or anything. So it's kind of mind-boggling. You hear all types of rumors that he's packing it in and getting ready for the NFL, but that would be kind of ridiculous.
That's not who he is as a person.
Exactly. Not who he is as a person. And when he's having the success that he's having this season, I mean, he's wanting to continue that trajectory. So I can't see that. But, man, I wish I could tell you something because I personally want to know myself.
You want to know when we have our 2 superheroes out there.
Exactly. Because we need them.
Yeah.
Without question.
Here's the thing, though, too. I mean, what makes this rivalry so great, this is when legends are born. Like, legacies are defined from this game. And, I mean, Blake Corum gets injured a few years ago against Illinois. He's pushing for a Heisman campaign. He tries to play, and he can't go. Donovan Edwards ends up rushing for 200-plus yards. I mean, there was a number of times.
Yeah, Beanie Wells type day.
And Beanie, as a true freshman, you came in there and popped off like a 52-yard touchdown run in the 06 game, maybe one of the more legendary games of all time. I'm curious, kind of for you, take take us back to that play, that moment. Did you have any idea the impact you were going to have? That was number 1 versus number 2 back in
Yeah.
2006.
No, but that was a surreal moment. It was the first time Ohio State's ever been in a 1 versus 2 matchup like that. And I don't know if you guys remember, just a week prior, or a couple of days prior to the game, Bo Schembechler passes away. So this thing was, it had all types of,
It was emotional.
feelings and emotions going into this game. And then, I don't know if you remember either. You guys were probably a little young at this point in time, but they had the clock ticker on the corner of the TV, just about every TV station, and the countdown for the game. So it was a big moment. I remember running out of the tunnel, and I'm running out. I look to my right on the sideline. I see Derek Jeter, obviously a huge University of Michigan fan, and I see A-Rod, I see Mo Vaughn, I see like a who's who of celebrity list at that game, and I'm like, whoa. I've never seen Ohio Stadium like that in my life in terms of celebrity and in terms of it being that loud. So I run out of the tunnel, I run back, and my dad happens to be coming down. I said, Dad, I think I just pissed myself a little bit because it was that crazy, going into the stadium and seeing how it was. But nonetheless, that matchup was crazy. You talk about a who's who of celebrities, but a who's who of players. I mean, you go back and you look at, Michigan's roster. I mean, Chad Henne, Mike Hart, Steve Breaston, Mario Manningham. It was so many.
Brandon Graham was in that game.
Yeah, BG. Yep.
He was young.
Lamar Willie, so many incredible players was in that game. So I had no clue that I have an opportunity to impact it as I did. If you go back and you look at that run, I made a spin off of a fellow Northeast Ohio guy, Sean Crable, who went to the University of Michigan. And
Number 2.
Yep, for sure. All I was doing was holding on to the ball. I did not want to fumble it. I didn't care where I was going. If you look, I get into the end zone 5 yards deep, and I'm still holding on for dear life because I didn't want to make a mistake in that game. But nonetheless, it was a huge moment. And like you just said, legends are born in that game. If you make a play, you have an opportunity to etch yourself in that school's history forever. I was able to do it, man, in that game for sure.
Now Beanie, I have to ask you, because I've made it clear that any running back Michigan has against a safety one-on-one, I'm taking them 10 times out of 10, right? And I know you love how Ohio State plays, but you're a running back. So if they were able to do it the way Michigan's doing, I think you would love that as well. Talk about what you've seen from the Michigan running backs and how they're able to run the ball. It seems like at will for so many years, but especially this year, right? 3 different backs with 100-yard games, including the quarterback had a 100-yard game. Just talk about what you see, and as a running back, how cool would it have been to be able to play? I mean, you play against behind some good offensive lines, but being able to just run against any number box count,
right.
Like talk about what you see from Michigan's running backs.
Oh man, their run game is the best in the country. I mean, that offensive line should probably be up for the Joe Moore Award, which goes to the nation's best offensive line in the country. But when you look at the running backs that they have with Haynes, and then Marshall. And then you bring in a third string running back, and he's coming, and the production isn't dropping off. And Cusdale is crazy. The lanes that they have is insane. I would have loved to be a part of a run game that is so prolific like Michigan has. I mean, it's insane because they don't necessarily have to, beat you over the top. They don't have to spread you out. The thing is, they're not tricking you. You know what they're going to do. It's up to you to stop it. And I love that mentality. As a running back, as a guy that loves to run between the tackles, a grinder, I love a coach that's going to just put the onus on the run game. Hey, we're going to run this ball 40 times a game. It's going to be up to them to stop us, and we're going to bring it play after play after play. But the thing that you guys have is you got the backs to be able to do it. It's one thing to say you're going to do it and try to get it done, but when you got a 3-headed monster that you can plug and play, that can go out there and give you that type of production, it's scary. And that's why I do not want the Buckeyes to get into a dogfight to where we're in a situation to where we got to deal with that run game because it can get scary.
All right, this is the media, so we got to take your words and twist it. Beanie just said he wants Michigan to win, and he thinks that their way of winning is better. There you go. Hey, now it's going to be all over the internet.
Right,
oh, Beanie loves Michigan. Like, what are you talking about?
This is what's crazy, though. I just had to look it up to confirm this. The last 23 games have been won by the team who wins the rushing battle.
That's what I'm saying.
The last 23 games.
And Beanie wants Ohio State to ignore that. He don't want to talk about that.
Exactly. I just believe in certain ways, if you go and be true to who you are, if Ohio State was true to who they were last season, and that was a big play team spreading the ball out, we're not in a situation, I don't believe, where we're losing that game. We play right into the hands of the opponent. And I know you go back and you look at the stats and it says the last 23 years, so on. But every now and then, the stats are off. The devil isn't always in the details in certain situations. And I believe if Ohio State plays their game and not tries to play into the hand of what benefits you guys the best, I mean, you'll have a good opportunity to win. Although the boy that y'all got on the edge over there, Moore, is scary. He is a freaking nightmare, and somebody
too,
that
though.
is going to cause havoc on this young offensive line Ohio State has.
Hey, I got some recent facts for you that are going to help your cause and what you say about the stats not always being right. I had TCU versus Houston last week. Okay, in TCU's games, if their quarterback throws 2 interceptions, they have lost 100% of their games. They are 0-4 when he does that. And also, when TCU doesn't allow 100 yards, they are 3-0, right? Guess what they did? They threw 3 picks, and they allowed well over 100 rushing yards. But somehow they won the game, right? So
Right.
the stats, even if it's 100% of the time,
Right.
the stats sometimes are skewed. And if you play football the right way and play how you play, you get a chance to win. And I hope Ohio State does not take any of that advice. I hope they don't watch the show. I hope they try to run it right down the middle and then a little outside zone right at Moore. That'd be perfect.
Beanie, I want to ask you, I mean, because one of the big storylines for Ohio State this year was not just replacing all the players that went to the NFL, but replacing the coordinators. Chip Kelly was instrumental in that postseason run. Obviously, Jim Knowles goes on to become the highest paid DC now at Penn State. But, Brian Hartline, he had been promoted to play caller a few years ago and then kind of like, I don't want to say demoted, but he did come back down, and Ryan made that switch before the season. Now he's your OC through and through. But the Patricia hire didn't come off as like a slam dunk. That wasn't universally loved as, wow, this is going to be a great hire, perfect fit for the Buckeyes. And yet, man, Matt Patricia, it really was a great hire, and it has been the perfect fit. What can you share with us about the impact of those two coordinators on this football team? And, is there anything else to Matt Patricia's NFL experience that could play a factor in this game?
Yeah, man. I think anytime you got a guy that has had the success that Matt Patricia's had, it's going to bode well when you have the right talent around him. Now, it's hard to bring an NFL-style coach into the college format and to get those guys to understand and digest what he's trying to do. But the thing that the Buckeyes have, they got NFL guys. So when you got NFL pros at your disposal, it's a lot easier to get those guys to adapt to the defensive scheme and to understand, the certain blitz and the certain schematics that you're going to call out there in the game. So I think it was a match made in heaven in terms of the talent and Matt Patricia bringing his expertise to the Buckeyes. Now, when you go back and you look at the last couple of years that we've had under Jim Knowles, I want to say his defense was more complicated. And I think a lot of people realize that because it took Ohio State a couple of years to get going defensively under Jim Knowles. He has one of those complex defensive schemes that
it was so many busts. You would see so many busts.
So many. And it causes players to think too much. When you're thinking out there, as you guys know as players, you're not playing fast. You're playing slow because you're thinking about what you're doing. And I think that's probably was some of the issue that Penn State faced this year because it takes him a couple of years to implement his defensive plan for everybody to buy in. And, we saw it last year. We saw it the past couple of years. So like you said, it's boom or bust. Now, they're going to corral you, but they're going to give up 1 or 2 big plays a game. And those 1 or 2 big plays may end up being the ones that beat you.
Yeah, I've been so impressed watching Caleb Downs. Is he, in your opinion, is he the best football player in college football? And have you seen a guy this talented? For me, he is the safest pick whenever he goes in the NFL draft. I'm picking him, and I know I'm going to have a pro who's going to be great. He's not going to be a bust. There's not going to be anything to worry about there. That's probably the safest pick, I think, in the draft when he comes out.
I most certainly think so. I mean, when you talk about a guy who commands the defense and then lines everybody up and puts him in position, and you don't have to ever worry about being out of position, he's going to make the routine plays look routine. That's what you want. I mean, you want consistency, and he's the model player for being consistent in college football. And then, heck, I mean, you could even throw him in there on special teams, and he can be a great returner for you. So I agree with you. He's the safest pick in the NFL draft. And if I'm a team that has a top 5 pick, I'm not wasting any time looking around for other players. If I want to win and want to be good and have production now on defense, I'm going to get Caleb Downs.
All right, we're going to let you run here in a second.
Yeah,
but
because we got pictures to show how we're going to beat you. And we can't show you that. We can't show you that. It's top secret.
Curious, though, give us the Caleb Downs. We know those guys are going to have big-time games, like the known players. But give us a sense, who are some underrated players that you think will have or need to have a big impact on this game? And then maybe give us a score prediction before we let you run.
Oh man, it's tough. The score prediction is tough, but players that I believe that will, have a breakout game. Isaiah West. He's a young running back from the Philly area, and the team was high on him. He had some injuries in training camp to where you didn't get a chance to see him in the early part of the year, but he's starting to come on strong. I think he's going to have a huge game. And Brandon Ennis is another guy. I know he's talked about it. One of the captains on his football team. He just hadn't had the production. I see you writing it down. You better jot it down and go tell the locker room. But I expect him to have a huge game, come Saturday as well. And score prediction.
Wait, I got one for you. I got one for you on the other side of the ball. I think Caden McDonald, your nose, is maybe the most underrated interior defensive lineman in college football right now. And obviously Michigan's going to run the ball. I think he's going to be a big impact in whether or not Michigan can create movement on that inside of your D-line.
Most certainly agree. He's a heck of a player. And the thing, when I look at our defensive line, those dudes are like thick built, like brick houses.
Very sturdy.
It's crazy to see those individuals right there at the 3 techs. They're hard to move. So I can see that being one of them as well.
Score prediction?
Score prediction. I'm going to go 21-8.
Michigan.
21-8 Buckeyes.
21-8 Michigan. Got it.
21-8 Buckeyes.
Oh, I thought you were saying Michigan was going to win. My bad.
No, we're going to win this thing, man. This is the year Ryan Day gets the monkey completely off his back, in my opinion. But it's going to be a great game.
On the road. It's bad weather this weekend, too. It's supposed to be sub-zero. Haynes, a California kid.
We're going to have our horses in the stable, man. I got belief that Cardinal and Jeremiah will be out there on the field.
All right, listen, we got pictures to show, right? And we're going to tell our audience exactly how we're going to beat Ohio State for the 5th time in a row. You were 3-0, but guess what? Beanie Wells is not running out of that tunnel. So we appreciate you, Beanie, man.
Thanks, brother.
A big fan of all the things you've been able to do as a player. Not so much a fan of your podcast, just because of why. I just can't be a fan of it. But we appreciate you staying with us. And hey, guys, don't like and subscribe his. Do ours. Like and subscribe our podcast.
Go ahead.
Actually, you can give Beanie a couple. You can give Beanie a couple. Give it a script,
We can't wish you good luck this weekend either.
Yeah, no luck. No luck.
No good luck.
I'm going to take the classy approach. I'm going to wish you guys good luck.
No, yeah, good luck on CBS, but not in the game. Not in the game. Good luck on CBS.
All right, appreciate it, fellas.
Have a great week.
You too.
All right, we're back on the Blueprint, the final segment before the final regular season game, and everything's on the table. Michigan wins. They get into the college football playoff, and there's a chance that they might even go to Indy to compete for a Big Ten title. But they got to handle business against this Buckeye defense led by Matt Patricia. DG, everybody's excited, man. You did a deep dive on what Ohio State does defensively and what Michigan needs to do to attack them. Tell us what you see.
Okay, I'm going to start with the pass game. We talked a lot about in the first segment with the pictures of Bryce's ability to throw the ball to the middle, how he's figured out when it's split safety, what he needs to do. Even when they try to get a guy down the middle, how do we get to that middle of the field underneath, like we saw in Tampa 2, the throw to the dig for McCulley. Take a look at this. Their defense, where are they most vacant? The middle. Quarterbacks complete 72.9. That's almost 73%. Let's just call it 73% of their passes for 997 yards and 3 touchdowns. So the fact that we've outlined Bryce throwing to the middle throughout the year, and the fact that Bryce has kind of developed into a quarterback that's comfortable throwing over the middle throughout the year, it lends well to production for the Michigan offense. Now, on offense, this is what Michigan has done. 68%, 1297. The one thing you have to worry about here is the 5 interceptions when thrown over the middle, right? If not for that, it lines up perfectly, right? And I think it does still line up perfectly. You just have to know where number 2 and, Scarlet and white, where are they going to be?
Gray?
Right? And Scarlet, we're going to call it a red and silver. How about that?
There we go. Yes. There we go.
The red and silver number 2. We got to know exactly where he is, because he's the one issue that I have with throwing in the middle. Is he is such a talented player, and everybody at home knows I'm talking about Caleb Downs, right? So what they struggle with is what we've done well, excluding the 5 interceptions. Got to clean that up. Looks like he did a week ago. Now, what does Michigan do the best? They run the football. So what does Ohio State's defense do against the run? To the left, they average more yards per carry. Teams do 3.8. But in the middle, they have more yards, right? So now it's up to Michigan. What do you want to do? Do you want to run to the left because there's more better average, or do you run down the middle because they've just given up more yards and you got 2 touchdowns off the left side? Let's see what Michigan's offense has done as a running team. To the left, 948 yards. Yeah, I like that. I like that. In the middle, averaging more. I like that. I like that. 14 touchdowns, 11 touchdowns respectively. And I think that you can have at it either way. The one way we want to kind of stay away from, the right side. Let's just not run to the right as much, right? Yeah, obviously we're going to have to run there sometimes, but let's try to focus on running to the left and up the middle because that's where we've had most success, and that's where they've given up the most success from opposing teams. So that's the blueprint. That's the blueprint. It's called the blueprint for a reason. That's the blueprint. It's called the blueprint for a reason. We've been giving you the blueprint, and now we give you one more nugget before the greatest weekend for all Michigan fans, especially the last 4 years. Right? First, you get Thursday, Thanksgiving. Obviously, we all love Thanksgiving. What do you think for, Jake? Thankful for amazing things, right? Thankful for you. Thankful for the fans. Thankful for the subscribers that still need to get 10K. And then on Friday, get ready for the game. You can watch a little more football. And it's not anything that really matters because the next day is the game. The game. And I feel bad for you, Jake. I feel bad because you have to work. And I do not. I know. So, I am very excited for this. It's been fun doing this show, and we're going to continue the show afterward, but this is what we've been working toward. This is why we watch all that film on the plane when we're coming back from our games. This is why, when you're calling the games, right, you're super impartial and you do your – this is why we've done this for you guys, for this moment and this opportunity for us to watch Michigan dominate for the 5th year in a row.
Yeah. I'm lucky, at least. I got my kicks at 3:30, so I'll be able to watch the full game. I might be emotionally exhausted by the time mine kicks off, but you'll see. You just look at me on air, whether I'm smiling or happy, we'll tell you everything. But I've called a few Ohio State games this year, so I've gotten a chance to meet with Dave, Patricia, Hartline, done a ton of deep dives, and this is a huge, huge matchup for Chip Lindsey against Matt Patricia. Bryce Underwood against Matt Patricia. And there's a few things that stand out to me to complement the stats you just said right there. I think Ohio State is the most athletic linebacker room in college football. Sonny Styles is a guy that was a safety that they moved down to linebacker. He's going to run a 4.5, 4.4 40. Very, very athletic. Arvell Reese maybe is the number 1 pick in next year's draft. He's a linebacker that they also play at edge defensive end. And then Caleb Downs is the boogeyman. Yes, in Arvell's so naturally violent. And then Caleb Downs, they move all over the place. Bryce has got to identify two at all times. I think the major key, though, Devin, why having home field advantage in this game is critically important because Matt Patricia, they have a deep defensive playbook. They run 3 down fronts, 4 down fronts, 5 down fronts. They run 3 or 4 defensive ends. They put Caleb Downs at nose.
A little bear. They run bear.
Yep. And to our viewers, that changes everything from a call standpoint in the run game and in the pass game. Knowing who you're double teaming, how you're double teaming, and when you're double teaming is critical, and it changes based on the fronts. Well, being at home, you have the luxury of being able to hear and talk to one another. I think communication up front is going to be key because that's going to allow them to win first and second down, which is going to allow them to stay on schedule, which is going to allow them to convert third downs. Third and long, you want to avoid that. You're going to be in it a few times this game, but you want to avoid that because Patricia has a penny dime third down pressure package that is heavily concerning, very, very concerning. If Michigan is asking Bryce to have to drop back against pressure looks consistently on third and long. So the communication is so critical, Dev, up front in this game.
Yeah, and Bryce's legs, I think, are going to remedy a lot of things. As long as he has great fundamentals, as long as his footwork is intact, I think there are going to be opportunities and times because I don't think Patricia spies him right away. Right? I think he trusts his defense to be able to rally and tackle. So there'll be times early in the game and possibly late that he'll be able to use his legs, right, his athletic ability when things aren't there to create real headache for the defense. And at that point, right, coaches do not like to allow that. Then you start to dedicate an extra guy, clears up the passing downfield picture for him. I think that his legs are the most important thing that this offense has to offer. And I don't want Michigan to abuse it. However, if you use it judiciously, I think it could be good for Michigan.
Yep. And this is another one, too, where for Bryce, just situational, understanding and giving his guys a chance. Ohio State's best, maybe not best, but most veteran defensive back is Davidson Igbinosun, number one. An aggressive defensive back. Very
handsy.
aggressive.
Very handsy.
But very handsy. And we know penalties can play major factors in this game. Mm-hmm. So for Bryce, very important when you see one-on-one with Andrew Marsh and he's matched up as number 4 Andrew Marsh against number 1 Igbinosun, give him a chance, but give him a chance as in make it catchable where he could come back and fight through. I like his chances of completing the catch, but I really think Igbinosun emotionally is vulnerable to penalties in this game, which can break off big time chunks. Dev, I did want to ask you though, man, take us into you played our 2013 game was my freshman year. It was my first experience in that game. And you played with a broken foot. You ran, you passed, you did everything. Just take us, man. What's the mindset like going into this game as a quarterback and as a player?
So, the game is so important. As much as you would like to have the same attention to detail in every single game, which I did, obviously. You saw how hard I worked studying film, going, especially when I was in grad school, just always in the building trying to figure out a way to prepare better and do all the things necessary to get a win each week. It's different. I'm sorry. It is. The attention to detail has to be higher, right? The ability to make plays that you maybe ordinarily wouldn't make has to be higher. I honestly don't remember the game a whole bunch. It's hard. It's hard because you're in such a trance, right? You should be, right? Everybody should be. I remember Braxton Miller. He was in a trance, right? You're in this.
I feel like it's a spiritual experience in a sense.
You're in this mental space where everything it doesn't feel real, right? It's hard. It's so hard to describe. And it's so funny. Like when I broke my foot the first drive of the second half in that game, right? It's like that broke for a second. Like it's like when my foot broke, everything, like the focus kind of broke. And it was like, it's like a shock. Like, oh my God. And then it's like you get to kind of see what's going on. And then you got to try to find a way to get back to that focus. And somehow, some way, I was able to do it, right? Running for first downs with half a foot, right? I remember going outside. It's 3rd and 9 or whatever it is. And we do a sprint out. Coach Borges, why are we sprinting out? But okay, whatever. And they cut me off, and I go back the other way, and it's me and Bradley Roby. Coincidentally, he's wearing number 1, just like Abe Gnosin.
Yeah. And
it's just me and him, and you know how I feel about defenders, just inherently not very smart, right? It's me and him on the outside, and I have to get this first down because if I don't, there's no chance of us getting a chance to win the game later on. And I pumped to the sideline. I'm talking about just brought out the most ridiculous thing. I pumped to the sideline where there is absolutely nobody, hoping to God that he would go for it. And he did. And somehow I limped my way to a first down. Bosa comes, tackles me. My contact gets flipped in my eye. Now I got to throw the ball downfield. I'm seeing 2 Jeremy Gallons down the field. I mean, so many things happening, but that's what you have to be. You can't allow injury. You can't allow the fear of failure. You can't allow bad technique. You can't allow that to get in the way in a game such as this. And I trust and believe that because of the preparation throughout the year, how we've helped to prepare Bryce, how they have prepared Bryce, and how Chip Lindsey has started to get into his proverbial bag calling plays, I think that he's going to put Bryce in position, and it'll be up to Bryce to have that focus, to not allow the emotions, like you said, a spiritual type experience.
Yeah.
Don't get so caught up and I'm playing Ohio State. You have to be focused. You don't have time to celebrate. You don't have time to high five. You need to do your job. Attention to detail. Attention to detail. And I think if he has that, Michigan's got a real shot, man. Because his talent is evident. His progress is evident. We've outlined it. But if he can make sure that all the other outside garbage is gone, and it's all about ball. That's it.
Yeah.
And then when that clock has zeros, you can backflip, you can middle finger. I don't care what you do.
Whatever. Yeah.
But in that time where your best is required, I think he has the capability to give his best, and that'll bode well for Michigan.
That's where this game is so hard, if not impossible, to predict, because there is something different mentally. And the big difference here is Sayan has not played in this game, Ohio State's quarterback. Bryce Underwood has not played in this game, Michigan's quarterback. How those guys handle the emotions, to Dev's point, can they focus? Can they play within themselves and not play beyond themselves and risk making mistakes? Again, the home field advantage is a major factor. Bryce's legs, that's a great way to get a quarterback settled in. That's a major factor. I grew up in Columbus, Pickerington, Ohio, 15 minutes from campus. When I was born, they wrap you in little Buckeye blankets in Columbus, and they put a little Buckeye on. Like that's what this rivalry is. You're born into it. I came to my senses, obviously, and went up to Ann Arbor, but this game, it's in my heart and in my soul, and it's in the players' hearts and souls. Sharon Moore, undefeated as a head coach in this game. There's something to that. There is something to that, to the mental side of this game. And for Underwood, we've talked about it when he said, "You've never seen a freshman like me," and he's taken his fair share of criticism for that. This game, that statement can be proven true beyond a shadow of doubt based on what he does Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern when the ball gets kicked off. So, it's going to be amazing, man. All right, we're going to close it. How about a score prediction, or what's your, however you want to do this, Dev, for the game this weekend?
So, betting's huge, right? We're going to probably have a betting sponsor at some point, and the number's 10, and I think Michigan covers for sure. And that could mean they're going to win the game. Do you understand? I can't even get into it.
Yes.
I will be my producer for my games is an Ohio State guy. If not for Michigan, for me, please.
Yeah.
Get it done, fellas. Get it done.
I got Michigan winning this one too, and I think the big key, Dominic Zavada won the game last year on his boot, on his foot. Special teams, major factor. I mean, I think Andrew Marsh returning punts. I'm thinking about the Desmond Howard punt return and Heisman pose. I mean, a chance. He's already a great player. Can't quite say legendary, but you can become legendary this weekend. Special teams, Michigan has to show up. It's going to be a dogfight. I got Michigan covering and winning as well. So, Dev, man, great stuff with the photos. Great stuff with the Buckeye breakdown. You guys, great stuff for tuning in. I mean, every show this year has been building up for this show this week and next week's show next week, reviewing the game. It's the push to 10K. We're at 9,100, like Dev said. Man, it would be awesome if you guys could get us to 10K by kickoff this weekend. So that's going to be the goal in the push. Thank you all for tuning in. Dev, thanks for your breakdowns. We will see you guys after the game. Go Blue, baby.